Off your game reaction video for this week. What I'm thinking of doing is bi-weekly do some reaction videos. Josh will do his own reaction videos as well, and then just review the week that was in the whether it's the Premier League, the Champions League, the Europa League, the Conference League, or just general topics when it comes to football. Most important news, obviously, the Champions League was this week, and fantastic two legs. Okay, maybe you can say the first one more so. I thought that the Real Madrid Manchester City game was absolutely superb. A 1-1 draw. I thought Manchester City's pressing in the first half, they didn't give Real Madrid a sniff. But then once again, the moments team of the last 2 decades, Real Madrid just has that spark. They've got X Factor players and a fantastic goal from Vinicius Jr., the Brazilian left winger, and he was absolutely brilliant as well, especially in counter-attacking moments, and the way that Benzema is able to stretch defenses, even when he's just playing well for 5 minutes at a time. But just for me, obviously, then after the goal, Real Madrid obviously got a foothold in the game, and then a couple of tactical changes from Pep in the second half, and they picked up the game. So both teams, they've got the ability to press, and obviously that obviously creates a little bit of space if you can beat the press, but that is the tough thing to do, to actually beat the press. But fantastic game, fantastic goal from Mr. Kevin De Bruyne, once again showing up, and it's quite weird to see the Manchester City fans are louder away from home than they are at home, and they were sold out in their section. I don't know if there's Manchester United fans that joined them, but good on them. I thought they were brilliant, and they will probably deserve to go through. However, there is still a second leg the week after. And then obviously the second semi-final at the San Siro, the Rossoneri against the Bianconeri, the Milan Derby. What a semi-final. It wasn't great in terms of quality, but I thought Inter Milan were brilliant in that first half. AC Milan were offered. They couldn't get close to Inter Milan. And then obviously they had Leao that was injured as well before the game. So that was obviously loads of pressure. They even took off the former Arsenal youngster Ismail Benacer, who played as a 10 when he's actually a defensive midfielder. That didn't work. They weren't able to press Inter Milan high, and it was 2-0 victory for Inter Milan. Dzeko scoring, and then also former Arsenal player Henrik Mkhitaryan. And 2-0 to Inter, fantastic win for them. That's seen as an away win, even though both teams played the same stadium. So I do feel that Inter Milan can, or AC Milan can do something in the second leg. However, I've tipped Inter and Man City to make the final even before these games took place. So I still stick with that. I feel Inter Milan will actually win the second leg as well. And I feel Man City will win possibly by 2 clear goals in the second leg. And then we had the Europa League. Again, the quality of the game is not really there. The first one was AS Roma, the Italian team, against Bayer Leverkusen, and it wasn't a great game. A 1-0 win for Roma. They were once again quite defensive. However, they got the job done. They got what they needed to do. And then the game that I watched a little bit more of is Sevilla going to Turin. Vlahovic again missing an absolute sitter, even though you could say the goalkeeper did really well. And then obviously Sevilla scored as well. They were the first team to score, so 1-0 to them. And then obviously Vlahovic missed the sitter. There were other opportunities for Juventus. Bonucci went off injured. And then there was obviously a very, very late goal. Basically the last play of the game, there was a goal from Juventus 1-1. Paul Pogba was also involved in the game, coming up with his little trickery as well. He looked good at times. And then Rabiot also looked good in midfield. However, I thought Sevilla were brilliant, and they were well worth a win actually on the day. So it looks like it's going to be Sevilla-Roma. I went Juventus-Roma for the final. I'm still thinking Roma will go through, but I have a feeling Sevilla will now make it. However, I can't change my prediction. I said Juventus-Roma final. And then in the Conference League, the mighty Hammers. I'm actually still upset with the Hammers because they played a second team against Man City. They could have gotten thrashed with their main team, but they played a second team and allowed Man City to easily win the game. However, all these things seem to have worked out, because after playing a change team against Man City, they ended up beating Man United last Sunday, and now they have won their Europa League home semi-final against AZ Alkmaar. Dominated the game. They were obviously a little bit slow out of the blocks. When I say slow out of the blocks, it wasn't a high tempo, but they still had the most of the game. However, AZ Alkmaar with a fluke goal. Really, initially they thought there was a foul on Paqueta, but then basically 15 to 20 yards out, goalkeeper suspect Areola from West Ham, and 1-0 to Alkmaar. And then obviously West Ham came back in the second half. They put loads of crosses in. They were in and around the box, and they were well-deserved winners 2-1. And then in the other game, Basel beating Fiorentina. I actually tipped Fiorentina to win the whole thing. And Basel beating Fiorentina in Fiorentina 2-1. So that was a bit of a surprise result. Very difficult to see Fiorentina turning it around, but I'm going to have to stick to my guns and say Fiorentina West Ham final. I've tipped Fiorentina to win the whole thing, so we'll see how that goes as well. And then obviously this weekend, Premier League, massive Sunday. It's Manchester City at Goodson. Manchester City will only have a couple of days before the next leg against Real Madrid at the Etihad Stadium. So are they going to make some changes? Will Everton obviously drive home that advantage of not being relegated? So still all to play for at that game. I feel that Everton don't need to win that to still stay in the league, and I feel that if Man City win, the league is over. Arsenal won't be able to catch them, unfortunately, even though there's Chelsea at home and then 2 tough away games against Brighton and Brentford. And then obviously Arsenal play against Brighton and Hove and Albion the evening game on Sunday. Arsenal must win to try and put any sort of pressure on Manchester City. So obviously Arsenal need to win the Brighton and Nottingham Forest game, and then hopefully we go into the last weekend with Arsenal still having something to play for once on the last day of the season. So a very interesting end to the season. So we've got Champions League football back next week. We've got Europa League semi-final second legs and the Conference League second legs as well. I think there's a couple of catch-up football games in England, and then obviously we've got Off Your Game coming back next week with Josh and Roni. We're both doing off-the-cuff videos just to review the week, and we will be back next week with our bi-weekly show. Let's see. Off Your Game. Enjoy the video.